You have arrived at Planet Who Doesn't Have a Podcast.
Welcome back to Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. Joining me to discuss all things Doctor Who this week, he's the Studoon to my Jadoon, the Vortex to my Vortex, the Sass to my Class. It's Jerome, darling.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be back, and it turns out my sonic screwdriver can do everything apart from give it a little trim. Doctors with beards, go. Can you think of any? The only one that immediately comes to mind is Matt Smith in the double part America opener, where he gets put in the perfect prison, and he's got like a full-on kind of like Rasputin beard. The Master has a Rasputin beard. Who comes to mind immediately?
So this is unbelievable, and has proven point blank that you haven't listened to last week's episode, because we discussed Doctors with Beards at the very start, and my example was the exact same as your example. Like, genuinely no joke.
You know what? That's true. I haven't actually listened to last week's podcast. I didn't get a chance.
Who would?
So I've been moving out of my house. Who would?
But we discussed Doctors with Beards, and my point was, I think it was Christopher Eccleston said that he wasn't allowed. I said all of this is exactly what I said last week. Christopher Eccleston said he wasn't allowed to grow a beard, or David Tennant said he wasn't allowed. So I was like, I think that Matt Smith episode where he grows the beard because he's been locked in that. Is it when he's in Pandorica?
No, it's the American. It's the American two-parter, isn't it? When they put him in the perfect prison, yes. and they've secretly got the TARDIS in there, and then he goes to save River, and he's like, "Open the doors to the swimming pool," or something like that. Yeah, that one. But maybe he had one in Pandorica. I can't remember. Oh no, I think you might be right. Doesn't he have one when Churchill's emperor?
Yeah, he does.
Maybe. I can't remember. Shooty didn't have a beard at any point, did he? Don't think Shooty had a beard. Jodie Whittaker didn't go for one.
She didn't go for a beard, I don't think.
No. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Mike, what's new? What's the latest with DW News?
So the Doctor Who news section is now called Gossip from Gallifrey. So has anything Doctor Who related caught your eye this week?
There's been a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I saw was Steven Moffat had his say on the Billie Piper regeneration. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think like when a showrunner or a former, a big dog, as it were, in Doctor Who comments on anything, I feel like it's always a potential cliffhanger for like just the show as a whole, or especially when things aren't going great. But he very much doubled down on that they haven't called her the Doctor, as in like he that was the first thing he went for, and I'm wondering whether he said that because he knows something, or he's been told to say something to kind of dampen fires. Do you know what I mean, in terms of what it might mean or who it might be, or whether he just genuinely is like, she's not the Doctor. She's not my Doctor. He said the inevitable stuff as well, where he was like, I would come back, I would jump back to Doctor Who in a heartbeat. It's what kind of gave me so much. And he's like, my memories on the show were amazing and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Would you, given like the returns of showrunners and things, like obviously with Russell, and there's been big hints on his side that he might walk now. There's been, I think since we last spoke, or since I was last on, we were kind of talking about the possibility of him leaving, but he's kind of sort of hinted at that maybe him and the show part ways or go separate ways. Do you think returning showrunners is difficult or kind of doomed to failure potentially because of what they'll be judged against what's gone before? Or do you think like, no, it shouldn't matter, like at the end of the day, if they've got good stories to tell and they're good writers, like that's all that should matter? What do you think?
I think that I was really excited when Russell Davies announced that he was coming back to Doctor Who. So I think I'd feel the same thing if Steven Moffat said that he was coming back to Doctor Who, and Chris Chibnall. But so yeah, I feel like it's a. I don't know. I feel like with the Russell T Davies thing, it's because he was so obviously trying to build out like a shared universe before Marvel back in the day, from 2005 onwards. They did such a good job on such a small budget. I was really excited for them to come back and actually do it with like a proper budget and like create a shared universe. And I don't think that's really gone that well so far. So I think it's all about the stories for me. Like if the stories are there and the backing is there, then yeah, like if Steven Moffat announced that he was coming back, or I've thought that Steven Moffat should like run a spin-off. I think it'd be amazing. So I'm like kind of into it.
I wonder if they've had that conversation, as in like the between them, because obviously we know like Chris and Russell and Steven like know each other very well and they hang out like a lot. It feels like in every social media. I've always been wondering like whether the spin-offs and things or the future kind of serials are like going to be given to sort of different sort of historical kind of writers in the show, and if they are going to build, because you know the idea of like a Doctor Who universe is crazy, and there's so much lore, there's so many characters, there's so many like the scope for like new characters and new storylines as well. It's almost like never ending. So I think it would have been really interesting, and we might still get that. But do you think they've bet too much on Disney?
It's worth us just explaining that the news broke last week that the BBC announced at the Edinburgh TV Festival that they are committed to Doctor Who and that it would continue. This was treated like huge news in the Doctor Who community, but this is something that we'd heard before. It is actually, I think a few months back, one of the BBC executives said that they are committed to Doctor Who and it will continue. So we always knew that the question really remained about Disney and what Disney were going to do. So in that Steven Moffat quote from today, he says that he thinks a decision won't come until after the war between the land and the sea, which won't be till next year, which is mad.
Well titled.
Did I get the title right? The Between the War and the Land and the War.
You did, yeah.
But that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, you'd think that it's interesting because they've said like Doctor Who's going nowhere, and I think from a ratings point of view and from a future like icons for the BBC, for example, like to have Doctor Who as part of your brand is massive, right? Because it is a global pull. Maybe not in the reach that Disney foresaw, maybe in terms of a numbers thing, but it does have global reach. Like if you went to many different places across the globe, I think people would recognise at least the TARDIS, or probably David Tennant, or, you know, probably a Dalek, definitely, for example. But yeah, to not make a decision. I'm wondering whether this is the BBC kind of just going, we're not cancelling it, but we don't have any plans on doing any more for a while.
It's kind of a bit like the BBC are being taken for a ride by Disney.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they're saying, we don't want to cancel it because we don't want to affect our brand, we don't want to affect the show's brand, but also, like, we've got no ideas, or we've got no current plans on what to do with it. And I think that's why it needs new blood. It needs someone new to come in and go, right, we're going to do this with it. Because I think, like, sort of similar to, like, maybe the latest Star Wars trilogy, where it was like there's so many different cooks, or there were like there were three directors originally, and then it became two. But, like, the narrative storytelling became so disjointed because of different visions. And I'm wondering whether there's a similarity here with like Disney and the BBC and kind of the show's own fans, and also wanting to attract new fans and just trying to do too much on too many fronts. And I think like they're probably at a place where they're going, well, what is our focus? Like, what is our priority? What are we? Are we like a global universe show for Disney, or are we kind of that sci-fi show that is, you know, very much at its core kind of like a British. It's like a British sort of family kind of sci-fi show. And I think they're torn. I think the identity's torn from like everything we've heard and things. Because, like, you know, no matter how they dress it up, the Billie Piper thing, it just was so left field. It was so left field. And even if it is the case that she's not the Doctor, just to do that just feels like really, I don't know, it just felt very unearned in some aspects. I mean, amazing to see Billie again, because, you know, you'll always get excited about the fact she's such a legacy character. But I don't know, it just feels a little bit cheated.
She's a huge star as well. Like, she's in Wednesday at the moment, isn't she? Which is like the biggest show in the world. So you can see why they want her still, like, at the forefront of Doctor Who. But I don't think that she's the Doctor. I don't know what their plan is for that, but I think it would be some specials, right? So it's not like she would be full-time.
No. Or maybe it might just be one special, to be fair. It might be a case that it's like she's there for 2 minutes and then it turns out to be something else.
My theory was that they were, like, wanting to celebrate was it the 20th anniversary of New Who or the 25th anniversary of New Who this year? The 20th. I'm an idiot. 2025. Came out
it was 20. Yeah.
So it was the 25th.
Yeah.
My theory was that they were gonna, and it sounds a bit crazy because David Tennant has just left again. They were gonna get Billie Piper and David Tennant to do like a special together to celebrate the 20th anniversary, but we haven't heard anything about that.
What do you think about David Tennant in the sense of, like, I think it's kind of in the feeling now that if he was to come back again, it would feel like, oh God, like it would feel more about the show being desperate that they have to bring him back more than a good reason. And I would probably put myself in that camp, in all honesty.
It wouldn't feel exciting.
But would it? Like, to some people, I guess, like, because if you just went, I'm sure there are some fans out there who, if David Tennant was just to be the Doctor for the rest of time, they'd be fine with it. Do you know what I mean? As in, they would just be fine with watching him go on adventures in the TARDIS. But yeah, like, I don't know, because there's just something about him that's, like, very, very magnetic. Like, when you watch him as that character. Do you think, like, sometimes... Because I've been thinking about this recently, actually, like, the other Doctors. Like, every Doctor has got their own Doctor, you know, like, they are their own version of the character, and everyone has, like, their unique fans and stuff. But do you ever get this feeling that it's like, there's Doctors, and then there's David Tennant's Doctor, who's, like, the one true Doctor. So it's like, if David Tennant's Doctor does something to the lore, then that's the lore we follow, because ultimately, like, he's the supersede Doctor.
I feel like David Tennant is such a massive fan of the show that he will just always come back. And because of that, there is a argument to be made of, like, oversaturation. But to be honest, if it's spaced out, then it's fine, because realistically, how many times has he returned since he left? The 50th and the 60th. They're 10 years apart. And I remember in Chris Chibnall's final episode, The Power of the Doctor, they had cameos from other Doctors. And I distinctly remember at the time that he had an interview where one of the conditions was certain Doctors weren't allowed to be touched. And obviously one of them was David Tennant, because he appears at the end of the episode anyway. So he would have been, like, in it twice. So I don't think I think there is an argument to be made that it's oversaturation. The way round it is to have them in spin-offs. Like you were saying, months ago, when there was all this excitement about Disney Doctor Who and Disney spin-offs, we were like, you could have a Paul McGann spin-off without taking anything away from the main show. And you could have spin-offs like The War Between the Land and the Sea. Well, I still imagine that the Doctor's going to appear in The War Between the Land and the Sea. But probably not the one that you're expecting.
Yeah. Nice. There is, I think, I would love a Paul McGann spin-off. I'd absolutely love a Paul... And just because Paul McGann's if he watches this podcast, I want to apologise to Paul McGann now.
Can you imagine if Paul McGann was watching this podcast? Get something better to do with your time, Paul McGann.
If Paul McGann is watching this podcast, I just want to put it out there and say you were one of the best Doctors and were robbed. I've said he's like early 60s. Hang on. He's 65. Sorry for outing you there, Paul. But I feel like he's still at a point where he could do it. Like, if he was given his spin-off series, like, he could do it. He could, like, enjoy some really amazing stories and timelines. And even if it was a spin-off or like, because I really liked the way they used him in Power of the Doctor, where even though it wasn't very long, you kind of got you got a taste for his Doctor. There's a kind of like sassy sort of like kind of contempt about him, which I think makes him very different from the others. But also like he came across as kind of like a sort of subverted mentor. Like while all the others were telling him one thing, he was telling her another. And I don't know whether there's like scope for him in that sort of position, like a doctor advisor to UNIT or something like that. It'd just be really cool to see him in that capacity.
Talking about advisors to UNIT, my prediction for The War Between the Land and the Sea is the Master is going to be in it, because we haven't had a payoff yet for the tooth. And I think it's actually going to be the Missy incarnation because Michelle Gomez came to the premiere of Series 2 of Doctor Who alongside Joe Martin. So people were like, Missy and the Fugitive Doctor are going to be in this series, and the Fugitive Doctor was. But why was Michelle Gomez there? So that's my prediction.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
She'd fit into a darker version as well.
She would. Missy genuinely is one of the best characters in kind of New Who, I think, in terms of like a unique, fresh take on an iconic character. But also kind of like Missy felt different. It didn't just feel like the Master. It felt like a slightly new character. I kind of miss Moffat. But it's interesting, isn't it? When you haven't got something, you miss it. And when it's there, it's like, oh yeah, it's happening. But it's like, and Russell, I think, like, is very, very good at the kind of the combination or like the long-term storytelling. So like, for example, the Bad Wolf storyline, one of the most successful in Doctor Who, I'd argue, but just like kind of pioneering that from series 1 to 4 and kind of threading in different characters. Like, you know, that scene in series 4 in Journey's End where they're all around the TARDIS console, like right at the end of the episode. And it's like that you can see the machinations of like, you know, 5 years work come together and all of those characters feel justified to be there in that moment. And I think like Russell is incredibly good at that. Whereas Steven, like just the darkness or really kind of relishing into the more sci-fi horror element of the show, I think is very much his forte. And some of his episodes, I mean, Blink is obviously like a classic, but like some, or like the Angels in like Time of the is it Time of the Angels or the one with Matt Smith, the double parter with River Song. Like there's just different episodes where he just gets that tone for horror spot on. One episode that I really enjoyed that I don't think many people like, or it doesn't have the same sort of fanfare, is the episode where it's kind of set in a haunted house and it's the creature that kind of is in the parallel universe or the pocket universe, and it kind of it tries to hitch a ride outside of it via the TARDIS, and I think Clara has to fly it in to rescue the Doctor. Can't remember what that episode's called. Can you remember? It didn't get as much fanfare, and it has and there's a camera which they use to kind of it's like it's meant to be like a ghost story episode, and I really liked it. But it's that one, yeah. Hide. That was it. That was a good one. So go on then. Hit me with your quiz.
Jerome, this quiz is called Who Said That? So I'm going to read out some dialogue from Doctor Who. You get a point if you can tell me the series. You get a point if you can tell me the episode, and you get an extra point if you can tell me who said it. And I will accept a description of who said it if you can't remember the name, because there's a lot of episodes of Doctor Who, and it would be unfair. Get ready for some absolute belter line readings.
I can't wait.
Fair's fair. Let's warm you up. I hope you've enjoyed your little fiction. They all came out of your imaginations. I'll leave you to ponder on that. So, Jerome, can you give me the series? Can you give me the episode? And can you give me the name of the person who said it? I can repeat if necessary.
Yeah, could you?
Fair's fair. Let's warm you up. I hope you've enjoyed your little fiction. They all came out of your imaginations. I'll leave you to ponder that. Said this last week and I'll say it again. If I don't get cast in Doctor Who now after line readings like that.
Do you know what? That's completely stumped me.
I thought you would get this. You out of all of us.
Fair's fair. Let's warm you up. They've come out of your imagination. The episode I'm thinking of is definitely not the one, but for some reason it's the one that keeps reverberating around my head. It's definitely, like, it's a child, or it's making me think of, like, your imaginations, like it's come out of a child's mind, or like it's kind of like the what's that quote that is it Wells said?
Have you got any guess for the series?
I was going to say series 2, but I don't think that's right.
I'll tell you this, that's incorrect. So I'll give you a shot at the episode, knowing it's not series 2.
I'm stumped, mate. I don't know.
Okay, so I'll put you out your
I'm
misery.
stumped.
It's series 5. The episode is Amy's Choice, and the character is the Dream Lord.
Oh God, yeah.
It's actually a good quote, that, isn't it? Because little fiction came out of your imaginations.
Now you've said it. Now I'm working with rage. Now look, I've even put my hair back.
You're a famous quizmaster. You don't like losing quizzes, but it's...
I'm gonna be thinking more Matt Smith now. Go on.
Welcome, Doctor. Are you suffering comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, no. Once upon several times, before the Time Lords, before everything we know, there was an explorer. Very famous episode.
Can you just read it one more time?
Welcome, Doctor. Are you suffering comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, no, once upon several times, before the Time Lords, before everything we know, there was an explorer.
I think it's what's her name from Game of Thrones. Whose name I can't remember. Ashilda. I feel like that's a quote. That she says at the end of. Is it Hell Bent or Heaven Sent when they're at the end of the universe? But looking at your face, that's wrong.
It's not right. Do you want a second?
That's the first step. Are you suffering comfortably? It's because of the way she said, or the way it's like there was an explorer.
Are you suffering comfortably?
And
is a really good
times.
hint as to who it is. If you know who he's saying it to.
Wait, that suggests.
I said he.
That suggests. Oh, it's the Master.
That's 1 point.
And it's bloody it's the Timeless Children.
Correct.
It's Sacha Darwin. It's the Timeless Children, and it's when he's revealing the whole fucking disaster plot. It's when he's introducing these cyber masters, but they're in the thing, isn't it?
And what series is that?
Hang on, I'm needing to count them now. Hang on. I want to say it's the end of series 12.
It's series 11.
Fuck!
So you get 2 points. That's fine.
I'll take it. It's an improvement from the first one.
It's when he's explaining the whole fucking plot. Okay, this third one is really cruel. I'm really sorry about this. There is no fucking way you're getting the character.
I reckon this is probably like the one I get after like doing so shit on the other two. I bet you this is the one I get.
Right, here we go. That list, the ghost was saying, that's the order in which people are going to die, isn't it? See, I've only just figured that out, but you knew that all along.
It rings more of a bell than it should, actually, than the other two. Just say it. Say it one more time.
That list, the ghost was saying, that's the order in which people are going to die, isn't it? See, I've only just figured that out, but you knew that all along, didn't you? The ghost was saying.
Right, there's 2 episodes that immediately come to me. One, and I can't remember the name of them, but I'm going to describe them to you.
I'll accept that.
One of them is the Mummy on the Orient Express. The other one is the one where they are in. It's like the military kind of base, and they can't work out if like the ghosts are like water, or like they're like, it's like the Doctor sees himself as a ghost, but he's got black eyes and he can't hear him, but his mouth's moving. What is that episode called? It's a Capaldi episode.
I will.
They're both Capaldi
I will
episodes.
accept descriptions because I think it's quite a lot to remember the name of episodes.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of them. I mean, I think the Orient Express episode is The Mummy on the Orient Express. I think that might be the title of the episode. Possibly.
So out of those two, which one will you go for?
That means it's one of them.
You don't know me. You don't know how I put together this quiz.
Are you suffering comfortably, Jerome? Go down your bottle.
Last time I was able to work it out because I literally went on the iPlayer and I did them in order. Series 1, 2, 3 and 4. It was like, this must be series 4 then.
The list, going down the list. I'm wondering, there's that monologue the Doctor does in 60 Seconds with the mummy, where he's like, "Are you my mummy?" And then he's like going in he's working out. I don't think it's that one. I think it's the other one I was talking about, the underwater base with the huge, it's like 15-foot god that he takes on right at the end of the episode. Is it that episode?
I'll absolutely give you that, Jerome. That you have scored a blinder there. So the episode is called Before the Flood. Do you know the series?
It's Capaldi's second series, I want to say, because I think it's him as the... I'm going to say series 9.
Yeah. Series 9, Before the Flood. And the character is a guy called Bennett. I was going to choose Mummy on the Orient Express.
It was because I remember watching Before the Flood, and it's that whole, because it's quite a hard episode. Like, it's not easy to watch. Like, I remember I had to watch it a couple of times to be like, what on earth is going on?
And the visual
and then,
of the Doctor with dead, with the eyes, the black eyes.
Yeah, because the way they're working it out as well, like what they're saying. Because him and Clara get split up, don't they? I think they get split up in different things.
Well done, Jerome.
Before we go, because I think we've wrapped up nicely there, a little bit of just side random Doctor Who news. If I said to you, Ukraine and Doctor Who, do you know what that means?
Zelensky used to be an actor, so he starred in a Ukrainian version of Doctor Who.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine if Zelensky had actually been in Doctor Who? And then he was like, yeah, he's like leading his country now. No. So, just randomly, it's nothing too much, but Sylvester McCoy's been out in Ukraine doing the Kiev Comic-Con, because he went out there to try and bring just support and kind of a distraction, or a kind of a welcome relief from everything that's going on for like all the sci-fi fans out there. So he was doing, and they released, I think, some unforeseen one of his episodes that never got aired, or they had the transcript with it and stuff, and he was like sharing that and things. And I just thought I'd end on that note, because I just feel like Sylvester McCoy is just a good guy. I feel like he's someone who, like, you never hear a bad word about him as like the Doctor or anything, and he seems like very funny, and obviously he was a comedian in former life and things. But anyway, that's all I wanted to end it on. Sylvester McCoy is a good guy. Good old Sylvester.
What a guy. Right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please like and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Pocket Casts, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Also, TikTok and Instagram.